Hello Aries, how are you doing? So welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel, and I'm going to be talking about the March 2025 horoscope today. And this is particularly busy month for you Aries because there's a lot going on in your sign, and actually it's an incredibly transformative year for you as well. So we have a lot going on. So what I'll do is I'll talk about the transits and what they mean for you. Hopefully you're watching for your rising sign, but you can also watch for your sun and moon if you're interested, or for example, you don't know your rising sign. I just always want to put that disclaimer because people say, oh, it's not that accurate sometimes. I'm like, it's because you're not watching for your rising sign. So let's break it down. This is a particularly busy month. There's a lot going on. We've got 2 retrogrades happening at the same time. We've got 2 eclipses. One is actually in Aries, and we also have Neptune ingressing into Aries on March the 30th, which I don't want to talk too much about in this video because it's such a pivotal moment, and I actually want to do a whole separate video and a whole series on Neptune as a planet, but also Neptune going into Aries as well. Because it's quite significant for most of us. We've had Neptune in Pisces for our adulthood, adolescence, for 14, 15 years of our lives, so it is quite significant. And it does worry me a little bit because Neptune ingressing into Aries does give me vibes of the Civil War, especially with Pluto and Aquarius at the same time, because the last time we had Neptune in Aries, there was Civil War. And it's just a little bit sort of like, I don't know what's going on. We've had it with the Christian Crusades, like it's just giving war vibes, which is very fitting for Aries. So yes, just want to point that out. So March the 1st, we have Venus retrograde in Aries in your first house of self. So Venus retrograde will have us evaluating our commitments, our relationships, and also our appearance as well, because Venus is the planet of beauty and opulence. And so it can deal with, materialism and assets and, material actual goods. So having a car, for example, or designer goods, but also our appearance as well, because, the aesthetics, the beauty of our bodies. But mostly this is more about relationships, but take what resonates, because some people aren't in relationships, or, couldn't give a flying F about relationships. They just don't care. So I try to appeal to everybody here. But yeah, Venus retrograde will have us reevaluating our relationships. This comes off the back of a very difficult Mars retrograde in Cancer as well. And as a cardinal sign Aries, you will have also suffered through that because, of course, you're ruled by Mars as well. So it is going to be quite difficult for you. So we're going off the back of a retrograde going into another one. So it can be a little bit difficult for you. Anger might be at a high, or you're feeling very frustrated, or I would say the word is maybe even feeling a bit lost with your identity. 2025 is extremely transformative for you as a sign, with your identity and your sense of purpose and self in the world. So if you're feeling a little bit sensitive in that area, just be kind to yourself. I think that's perfectly normal. But in the first house of self with a Venus retrograde, you are evaluating your appearance, probably more so than relationships, thinking about your aesthetics, but also your part and responsibility in relationships. It's very easy for us to kind of palm responsibilities off to other people and say, you're the reason this relationship failed, or you're the reason that I'm an avoidant, or I have an anxious attachment style. And actually it's a really good time to evaluate, maybe I'm an avoidant and it's me ruining relationships. Maybe I'm the one that has a responsibility or part to play. So this is quite a antagonizing house to have a Venus retrograde in. And especially because Venus is debilitated in Aries, it brings passive aggressiveness, I've got the ick, or feeling very sexually frustrated too. So there is some kind of amalgamation of frustrations and various emotions in this Venus retrograde as well. And of course, on March the 27th, Venus will also be retrograding in Pisces, and that's in your 12th house. So again, you have this ability to really focus on inward transformation, and your own mental health, your own subconscious mind, things that maybe you're blocking you from relationships. Again, you are really looking at your identity and your part to play in relationships and your own evolution. On the 3rd of March, Mercury enters Aries in your first house of self. So this is also a little bit sort of like charged and passive aggressive in a way, although it can bring very great leadership energy. Mercury is a planet of communication. Aries is very forward moving, but Aries is very fast, right? So it's very like, I'm going to do this now. So this can sometimes mean saying things that you don't mean because you come out very impulsive. You just kind of like, you know the phrase "in the heat of the moment"? It's incredibly Aries, right? Because it's just like, I'm a warmonger, I'm gonna go for it. I mean, I'm generalizing here, but you know what I mean? It's very fast paced and kind of just does things on the heat of the moment. And in the first house of self, again, be careful about being too defensive with communication, or feeling like I've got to be productive and go, go, go all the time, because during this Venus retrograde, it's like, maybe you don't feel like being go, go, go all the time. Maybe you need to take a slower pace. My big advice for everybody, not just Aries, is that March, you really need some time to take some space. If you have a busy month, you must schedule a couple of hours, a day or two, where you'll just do nothing, because you need chance to breathe. You need chance to just get into everything and say, you know what, I'm letting my body have some peace, because this can be really, the flight, fight, freeze, everything going at the same time. And actually your body and your nervous system needs some time to relax as well. So Mercury entering Aries with Venus retrograde in Aries at the same time in your first house of self, it can be quite supercharged for you. Then on the 14th of March to the 28th of March, Mercury will retrograde in Aries. And so this will bring challenging communication issues, issues with travel and aviation. And again, in Aries as well, there could be some difficulty here with communicating in the right way. It's again, very heat of the moment, very passive aggressive, almost feeling like you are... Okay, someone's just like thumping in my apartment. It can make you feel a little bit like you are on the wire as well. So it can bring anger issues. And also with that Venus retrograde in Aries as well, definitely could bring back exes as well. And definitely, again, you're thinking more about your part to play in things as well. And then on the same day, March 14th, we have a Virgo lunar eclipse in your 6th house. So this is releasing a job you don't want, or some kind of control freak, I say that quite jovially, a control freak kind of perfectionist stance, because this lunar eclipse is very close proximity to the South Node in Virgo. So you could be letting go of, feelings of, I have to do everything right, or I have to always be the one taking the lead. It's okay to delegate things, especially at work. You could also be letting go of a routine that wasn't good for your physical or mental health and your productivity, and generally feeling like there's just something that you need to let go that isn't serving you anymore. Then on the 29th of March, we have an Aries solar eclipse. So this again is in your first house of self. This is redefining who you are amidst all the relationship issues with Venus retrograde. So again, I've talked about Aries being the most transformative sign. March is really going to be the epitome of transformation for you. You'll really feel more like who you're meant to be, the person that you're working towards, that better version of you. And with all these relationship issues with Venus retrograde, they're redefining your position, your stance on, again, what you can provide to a relationship and what you want as well, with those higher standards that, that luxury of Venus. And I think what will happen is that will all kind of snowball, be a snowball effect. And then when the Libra full moon happens in the middle of April in that 7th house for you, you can just kind of cut all that mess out, and then you can say, I don't want this, and then move on to something a little bit better. But amidst all that, you have this strong transformation. This continued 12th house Pisces concentration throughout the month as well is going to be really helping you on your mental health journey, in finding joy, and also cutting out harsh attachments or addictions, anything that you feel a bit too attached to. And then that doesn't have to be like a really detrimental addiction. That can even be like, I'm eating too much fatty foods, or, I'm addicted to, talking to the wrong person amidst this Venus retrograde. You're just kind of cutting out things that don't bring you joy anymore. And then on March the 30th, Neptune will ingress into Aries in your first house of self. Again, I'm going to talk about this in a completely different video, so I'm not going to talk about it too much, so forgive me for that. But only because I actually think it deserves more time and attention, and I don't want to make this video really long. But Neptune is that planet of spirituality. She's just beautiful. She's expansive in a way, larger than life. And it's such a, I see things for what they really are. Neptune being in Pisces as well since 2011 has really brought about an evolution of intuition. I think more than ever, we've seen people waking up and really saying, hang on, the system isn't working the way we thought it would. That coupled with Pluto and Aquarius is very powerful. But Neptune likes to be in Pisces. It doesn't necessarily love being in Aries. And, eventually when I talk about this, when, you know, it will be together with Saturn in Aries at 0 degrees, which is very, very rare, you know, we're really going to be seeing a lot of stuff going on. As I mentioned, there is a level of civil war here. And also, I've said before in my 2025 horoscopes that Neptune going to Aries gives me a vibe of not necessarily a pandemic, but a virus spreading, because Neptune is the spread of something and Aries tends to be biological and physical war. So, you know, when you release a virus, it's biological warfare. So this could be an interesting kind of thing going on. I really hope not, but I see a lot of reports about bird flu happening, which is just not good. I've had a few people message me say like it's actually worse than people say it is, but I'm not someone to fearmonger, so we don't know. But I'm definitely keeping my eye on that because it definitely looks like it could be something. Last time we had a Neptune in Aries as well, not only did we have the civil war, but we also had, you know, spreads of viruses as well. But having said that, that was like 162 years ago. We didn't have many sort of like, you know, we didn't have many vaccines and things like that. So hopefully we're more equipped this time, but nevertheless, the pattern is true. But overall, Aries, this is a really, really significant month for you, full of transformation with not only your relationships, but also your identity and your appearance, letting go of things to do with your career, but also perfectionistic tendencies with productivity. Seems to be a focus on physical health as well. So hopefully you enjoyed that video, and if you did, maybe give me a comment and let me know what your thoughts are. What are you planning? What do you think about, you know, some of these very big events that will affect us globally as well? And yeah, I'll move on to Taurus. Bye.